The 1952 NBA All-Star Game took place at the Boston Garden on Monday, 11 February 1952. In 1952, the uniforms were different from the 51 uniforms because they'd removed 6 of the stars from each team's jerseys. Not sure why. The story this year, despite no matter where you go in NBA history, we're in 1952 in the All-Star Game. The story in the West is the Lakers. The story in the East is the Celtics. Doesn't matter where you go, it's always going to be the case. 6 new players joined the All-Star team this game. 4 in the West, 2 in the East. Beginning the West, we have, unsurprisingly, 3-time scoring champion, 2-time NBA champion, George Mikan. At the end of last season, he actually broke his leg fully. And he's come back this season, and after 3 straight years of leading the league in scoring, he is no longer leading the league in scoring. Instead, he's just doing rebounds instead. At the end of this season, the Lakers still going to win the championship, so I think it's still all good for him. According to the New York Times, this was the best athlete in the league at the time. The second Laker in the starting lineup, Jim Pollard. Vern Mickelson is the 3rd player in the Lakers' Big 3. Yep, that means there's 3 Lakers starting for the West. And they're not even the top of the West. Why has this happened? Because the coach of the Lakers is the coach of the West All-Stars. And the coach gets to choose who starts. And they did win the championship this year, so I'll give it to them. They kind of deserve to have 3 Lakers starting in the All-Star game. If the team in second place has 3 All-Stars starting, that means the team in first place must have a lot, right? To begin with, Bobby Wanzer of the reigning champion Rochester Royals, today's Sacramento Kings, is starting in the All-Star game. Him and Bob Davies on the Kings are known as the best backcourt in the West and in the NBA, as they are reigning champs. The other starting guard in the West is Paul Walter for the Indianapolis Olympians. This is his first ever All-Star game, and this is his best season to date. Bob Davies, the starting point guard of the best backcourt in the NBA's Rochester Royals / Sacramento Kings, is coming off the bench. I'm not going to say I know the reason why, but the Lakers head coach is the coach of the West All-Stars, by the way, and he gets to choose who starts and who doesn't. And the Royals are kind of first in the West, but anyway. Dyke Edelman, I think he was traded on this day. This may have been the first ever All-Star Day trade. I looked into the history. He was traded on Feb 11. That's the exact same day as the All-Star game, but nobody clarifies. But yeah, he was traded from the Hawks to the Pistons on this day, and he also played in the All-Star game, I guess. Frankie Bryan, who last year was on the Hawks, this year is on the Pistons. I guess Dyke Edelman, his old teammate, is now his teammate again. He's also playing today. Leo Barnshorst, one of the new All-Stars. This is his first ever All-Star game, and this is the year after 2 All-Stars on his team got banned for life. So, with his new added opportunity, he took up 4 more shots per game and added up 4 more points per game. So yeah, it gets to be an All-Star. Good for him. And yeah, so they're the reigning champions, so the Rochester Royals do get 3 All-Stars as well. They just don't get to start because the Lakers coach, obviously, is the coach. The Lakers coach has not chosen to put Arnie Rison on the starting lineup as the starting center, but that kind of makes sense when George Mikan is number 3 in points and was leading scorer in the NBA for 3 straight years. And also, to be fair, at this time, even though the Royals are NBA champions, the Lakers have a 5-1 record against the reigning champions this year. And that includes 2 straight defeats of the Royals / Kings just 4 days ago. So this is no rivalry, and I think everyone at the time just accepted that The Lakers may have a worse record, but they're kinda better. Now, in the East, we had two new All-Stars. Bob Cousy was the first returning All-Star from who other than the Boston Celtics. They always have an All-Star. They always have somebody good. I'm an ethical baller, so I just want to point out 21 field goal attempts, 21 points per game. Paul Arizin, one of the first high-volume scorers. In his second season, he's 7th in points per game, 25 and 11, which is just cold for a small forward at 23 years old. Andy Phillip, in his second All-Star game season, he's in his best assist game season, and he's also leading the league in assists again. Ed McCauley from the Celtics. The Celtics always have good starter level All-Stars, and once again, 23 years old Ed McCauley at 20 points per game. Yeah. Harry the Horse Gallatin from the New York Knicks. At 6'6" and a power forward, he's one of the best rebounders in the league, so of course he's a starting. Red Roker, he's one of the first 20 All-Stars from last year's All-Star game, but this is sadly his last All-Star game and last All-Star appearance. He never led the league in any stat, but he still counts as an All-Star. I'm not sure what he did which led to him being an All-Star. Maybe he was consistent. He played like every game. And whatever you say, he is an All-Star because here we are talking about him 70 years later. Max Zaslovsky led the league in scoring in the second ever NBA season while he was playing for the Chicago Stags. Max also was named to the All-NBA first team in his first season, which also happened to be the first NBA season at the age of 21. That means he was the youngest player to ever be on All-NBA first team, at least for 60 years, until in 2006 LeBron James beat him, which means it took 60 years for that record to be beaten. In 1948, in the second NBA season, he led the league in scoring at 22 years old, a record which wasn't broken until 2010 by Kevin Durant. So this man right here, his name is among legends, and here he is playing in 1950. So this is a real-time All-Star. However, in 1952, those days are behind him, but he is still an All-Star. At this time, even though he's no longer scoring, just the last season, he took the New York Knicks to the NBA Finals, where they lost to the Royals in 7 games, 7 close games. The saddest part, this year, he's going to lead the Knicks to the finals again. This time against the Lakers, where they're going to lose again in 7 games again. Not just that, this is his only All-Star season, and he'll never make the All-Star game again. And then, all the other greats of this time period are in the Hall of Fame, but him. He is not in the Hall of Fame, even though he took the Knicks to 2 finals, even though he has all these records which only ever got beat by LeBron James and Kevin Durant. He's not a Hall of Famer. And that's weird, which means that there's a reason they didn't let him be a Hall of Famer, right? Richard Maguire is the 3rd Knicks All-Star. So the Knicks, as well as the Celtics, all the good teams get to have 3 All-Stars this year just because there's only few good teams and they have all the good players. His today comparison would be Chris Paul. Even though he's 26, he's pretty good at passing. Fred Scolari was one of the best players in the league in its earlier season, making it to first and second team All-NBA around his 25 years old and 26-year-old seasons. Now, at 29, he's actually having his best statistical season, and he finally gets to be an All-Star. And to finish up, we have Joe Fulks. This 1952 marked the last All-Star season and last All-Star appearance for the league's first ever superstar, Joe Fulks. Sadly, even though he joined the league when he was 24 years old, he did not live to see another 24 years. He'd be murdered 24 years after this game. And at the end of the All-Star game, the East had defeated the West again by 17 points, just like they had the year before. This was the best 1950s East All-Star team. The East was led by Paul Arizin, the high-volume scorer, and basically nobody else. On the West, though, we had 2 double-doubles, including a 26 and 15 game from George Mikan, trying to show why he was probably going to be MVP, Finals MVP, if that award existed at the time. As you can see here, Bob Cousy also recorded 13 assists because he's also insane. And yeah, those were some of the biggest records at the time. Paul Arizin and George Mikan both joined the single game records leaderboard. George Mikan joined the rebounds in a single game leaderboard with 15, and Bob Cousy's 13 became the record at the time. And after 2 games, Paul Arizin is the best scorer in All-Star Game history. George Mikan's the best rebounder. Bob Cousy's the best passer. And yeah,